Hey everybody, Stuart here from The Talent Equation with another Coaching Hack 3-minute masterclass. So today's little tip for you is the 10-second rule. If your activity takes longer than 10 seconds to explain, it's too long. Now I got this tip from Rusty Earnshaw and John Fletcher over at the Magic Academy. If you haven't checked out the Magic Academy, you've got to go over and see those guys. They're doing some absolutely amazing stuff, creating coaching wizardry. And they've got loads of different ideas with cards and different things that you can get from them. So check them out. They're really good guys. So the 10-second rule. Well, the problem you've got is that sometimes your activity's quite, got a lot of dimensions to it, and it takes you quite a while to explain. It's one of the things I see coaches doing all the time. They take, upwards of 60 seconds, 2 minutes to explain their activity and walk through and demonstrate and all those sorts of things. In reality, all that time is probably wasted, because in reality, how often have you found yourself where the players don't really get what you're talking about anyway, and then you end up explaining everything? So my tip is this: break it down into its component parts and start with the simplest form, and then go from there and build up. So the way I would do it is I just add a component. Now it feels to the players like it's got a natural flow and you're increasing the right thing. But actually, the reality is that what you're doing is that you're actually just adding in the dimensions that get you towards the final activity that you originally had in mind anyway. So how would it look like? So for me, let's imagine I wanted to have a game where players could only go in certain zones. So rather than explaining the game, saying this is what you play, you've got to go in that go, you can only go that, and eventually I know that I don't get it. What I would do is I'd say, right, 4v4, this area here. You're playing towards that goal, you're playing towards that goal, off you go. And they play. And then 2 minutes later I go, okay, right, you and you're only allowed to be in this half. You and you're only allowed to be in this half. Now play. Off we go. Then I'd add in another rule. And I'd say, right, you and you have to go in only allowed in those zones. You and you only allowed in those zones. You're only allowed those, you're only in those zones. Off you go and play. And I build it up until I eventually get to the area I've got to. So instead of using 2 minutes to explain it and then another 2 or 3 minutes because I have to explain it again because the players didn't get it in the first place because they can't take in all the information, I just drip the information in, but it looks like I'm changing the activity and leveling up each time. So here's the next rule, here's the next rule, here's the next rule. By that point, we get to our point, and then we can start to work from there, and then we can start to play within that activity that we've created. I just find it's an easier and simpler, and it allows you to get nice flow, and it allows you to get going quickly, and then you're not having to sort of spend time doing all the organisation and all that sort of stuff. So it's less hassle for you, less hassle for them. So 10-second rule, have a play with it. Hope you get on well with it. Now, if you like these tips, do me a big favour, hit the subscribe button. It's underneath somewhere, I think. And that'll be great, because the more people who subscribe, the more then we can get the message out to different people. Also, hit the comments, because the comments are good for helping people find it as well. But equally, I really want to know from you how you get on with these activities. So let me know if it works, or you find a variation that's better, because then you can share that with others, and then maybe I'll feature them on future masterclasses and give you a shout out. If you've got a different way of doing it as well, also let me know in those comments. That's really where the value is, and we can get a good conversation and a good discussion going. And please, by all means, share these tips with other people, because that would be great. Also, if you really like these sorts of things, you like this kind of conversation, you might want to check out my podcast, the Talent Equation podcast. It's on all good podcatchers, where we start to get in depth, and I have a really in-depth conversation with people who are at the coalface of this kind of stuff. Anyway, hope you get on well with that tip, and see you again.